And I'm bringing this up for a specific reason, because we need to consider who is going to be ultimately the trustee, the person enforcing this language or shepherding your desires, through the trust administration process. It's above all else, we really do want to maintain the health of family relationships, keep them intact where possible. So we might need to consider, with a difficult beneficiary in particular, using a professional or a corporate trustee like a First American. And the reason I say that is it keeps your the siblings of that person or other relatives of the person out of harm's way, right? They're not in direct conflict with someone who they have a family relationship with. Not something that's discussed maybe as often as it should be, and maybe because we don't know we have a Veruca assault on our hand when we're doing our drafting. But we probably should have at least a quick discussion about that issue with particular clients. So it's great to have a family member who's a trustee who does know your value system. I've got a sister who's my trustee. All I need to do is say, make sure that this happens, and she gets the gist. She grew up in the same house I did, so she's got more or less the same values. She knows, if I'm okay with money being spent on certain things or whether my children need to achieve certain things. But ultimately, if this were a sister and a sister, we don't necessarily want to put sisters in conflict, right? And so the other thing is, who's got a strong personality? Who's going to say no to Veruca assault? I mean, it wasn't the dad in that movie, but a corporate trustee certainly wouldn't have a problem saying no, as long as the trust empowered them to have that discretionary power. And then if you are going to pick, one sibling to administer a trust with other siblings, for example, being beneficiaries, please be sure the terms are just black and white. So then there's not this discretion in terms of whether they get the distribution or not. So it would be the difference between, in the trustee's discretion, they can have income that they need for their support, right? And if we have no other context but make sure you save enough money for college or something else in the testator's intent, the trustee is just going to make whatever call. And we all, as we're going to get to in a couple slides, we essentially, discretionary is pretty boundless. And so that might create a problem, and it certainly might be a frustration of the testator's intent or ultimate desires. But if you are going to pick a relative, maybe you just say, look, Veruca gets $15 a day. That's it, right? Black and white. Sorry, the trust does not authorize me to give more. It says trustee shall, not may, in his or her discretion. And they shall get no more than that until the 5th year after the date of my death. Great. That's black and white. She really can't argue with that. And the trustee can just hold up the document and say, this is what it says, don't shoot the messenger, kind of a thing. So that's a tactic I use sometimes if we are putting family members as trustees.